All right, hey everyone, welcome back. Ready to jump into another deep dive. This time, we're tackling something pretty mind-blowing. The world of AI, but not the kind that needs a massive corporation behind it. We're going open source, which means powerful AI tools available to, well, pretty much anyone.
Yeah, it's about democratizing this tech, right? Anyone with a bit of curiosity and a computer can get in on the action.
So no need to be a tech giant to build some seriously impressive AI.
Exactly. And that's what we're exploring today.
Okay, I've got to admit, my interest is piqued, especially because you mentioned this closed source AI agent called MAS that's been making a lot of noise. But you're saying we can achieve the same, maybe even better, using open source tools. And get this, for free.
You got it. No need to empty your pockets. We're talking about building your own personalized AI assistant that can do things like search the web, process information, even create content.
Okay, hold on. That's the kind of stuff that usually costs a fortune. Break it down for me. What tools are we talking about here?
Think of it like assembling a dream team. First, you've got AutoGen, which is like the brains of the operation. It orchestrates everything your AI does. Then there's MCP server, and this is the muscle. Need to do web searches, manipulate files, even build a whole knowledge base. MCP server is there for you.
Now, hang on a sec. You said something about an MCP server getting support from Microsoft's own open source agent framework. What does that even mean for the average person?
Honestly, that's huge. It could mean a real shift in the entire AI landscape. We might be moving away from these closed systems controlled by, a handful of big players. Instead, things might become more open, more collaborative. And who benefits from that? Everyone.
Wow, so we're talking potential AI revolution here.
Maybe, maybe not. But think about it. Microsoft getting behind open source sends a pretty strong signal, right? We might see a burst of innovation with regular people, small teams, able to create and compete with the big guys.
All right. You've convinced me this is more than just a little intriguing. Give me a concrete example. Just how powerful are these open source tools in action?
Okay, get this. There's this YouTube video that completely blew my mind. The creator built an AI agent that can scrape content from any website, then rewrite it like a tech news article, and then save it all neatly in a file. And guess what? All open source tools.
Wait, you're kidding, right? That's the kind of thing big media companies shell out serious money for. You're telling me someone just did that for free? Like in their spare time?
Exactly. And it shows how incredible it is to combine AutoGen with several different MPP servers. Each server is like a specialist, handling one particular task really well. And AutoGen, it's like the conductor, making sure they all work together in perfect harmony.
I'm hooked. I need to know more. Walk me through how this all works. Give me the step-by-step.
Okay, so in the video, the creator wanted to grab content from a blog post. I think it's about Cloud 3.7, something like that. He uses a specific MCP server that's made for web scraping. It just pulls the raw content straight from the blog.
Perfect. So then what? How does it turn into an actual news article?
That's where AutoGen comes in. He sets up an AutoGen agent, and this agent takes that raw content, uses the stuff straight from the blog, and rewrites it. Makes it concise, tech news style, even formats it all nice and neat, ready to be published, uses Markdown, the whole shebang.
So it's basically like having your own personal automated journalist.
Pretty much. And the last step, another MCP server jumps in. This one's the File Management Pro. It takes that rewritten article, saves it locally, names it all nice and organized by date. Done.
Hold up. All those steps just happen with a couple clicks. How much code are we talking here?
The crazy thing is, he does all that complexity with something like 50 lines of code. And the best part is, he shows you every single step right there in VS Code, plain as day.
All right, you're going to have to show me this because I can't believe 50 lines of code can create an AI that can pull off all that.
It's pretty amazing. He starts with the basics, setting up a virtual environment, installing everything you need, getting OpenAI's API all set up.
OpenAI, isn't that the one that's like crazy expensive?
True, it can be. But here's where the open source magic really kicks in. He mentions you can easily use Llama models instead. Those are completely free to use right on your own computer.
You're telling me I can have the power of a state-of-the-art AI working offline and not pay a dime?
That's the beauty of it, right?
Yeah.
No subscription fees, no data limits, just pure AI power at your disposal. And that's just the beginning. Once you have the basic tools, it's all about finding the right MCP servers. They're like, I don't know, specialized modules. Each one gives your AI a specific skill.
So let's say I wanted my AI to, I don't know, analyze stock market data or something. I'd need a specific MCP server for that.
Yeah, exactly. One that's designed for financial data. And the great thing about Cline is that it makes finding and installing these MCP servers super easy. It's like browsing an app store, but for your AI.
Okay, I'm starting to see how the pieces fit together. But what about the code for the AI itself? Is that where it gets super complicated?
Actually, no. The YouTuber really emphasizes how simple and beginner-friendly the code is. He's all about using clear instructions, like you're talking to a person.
So less tech jargon and more plain English.
Precisely. For example, when he sets up the web scraping agent, the instructions are something like, you are a web content retriever. Use the fetch tool to grab content from this website.
Wow, that's surprisingly straightforward. It doesn't even sound like coding.
Right. That's what AutoGen does so well. It lets you create these natural workflows between different agents, almost like a conversation. You don't need to be a coding expert to get awesome results.
I'm sold. Let's say I've done all the setup, got my MCP servers, written the code. How do I actually make it all work?
That's where the round-robin group chat we mentioned earlier comes into play. You basically decide the order your AI agents will interact in, like a back-and-forth conversation. Each one takes a turn, using its specific skills to contribute to the overall task.
So in that web scraping example, the first agent grabbed the content, the second rewrites it, and then the third saves it, like a relay race.
That's it. And it all happens seamlessly with AutoGen running the show behind the scenes. You've basically got a whole team of AI specialists, each with its own expertise, working together to achieve what you want.
This is seriously mind-blowing. It really does feel like we're entering a whole new world where anyone can have access to this incredible AI power. But before we get too carried away with all the possibilities, let's break down the process even further. When we come back, we'll dive deeper into how to set all this up. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. Before we got into all the cool things these open source AI tools can do, we were talking about that one guy and how he built an AI that could, like, scrape websites and rewrite content and save it all.
Yeah, that example really got me thinking, but you mentioned we'd get into the nitty-gritty, like how to actually set this up for ourselves. Where do we even start?
All right, let's dive into it. First things first, you're going to need the basics. AutoGen, Cline, and Python. Don't worry, though. It's all free. You can find it online, no problem.
Okay, sounds good so far. But what about those language models? Aren't those usually super expensive to use?
Ah, that's a great question, and this is where open source really shines. Remember how that YouTuber used GPT-4 Mini? Yeah, well, he mentioned that you can totally swap that out for Llama models. And get this, those are completely free. You can use them right on your own computer.
So I can have the sophisticated AI running offline and it won't cost me a thing. No way.
Yep, no subscription fees, no data caps, nothing. Just pure AI power ready to go. And that's just the foundation. Once you have the basic tools, it's all about finding the right MCP servers for the job, whatever you want your AI to do. They're like specialized modules. Each one gives your AI a new skill.
So if I wanted my AI to, say, analyze stock market trends, I'd need a specific MCP server for that.
Exactly. One that's built for financial data. And Cline makes it super easy to find and install those MCP servers. It's like imagine an app store, but just for your AI. You can browse, read reviews, install with a few clicks.
I see. Okay, starting to get the picture here. But let's talk about the code for the AI agent itself. Is that where it gets really complicated?
Not at all. In fact, the YouTuber really emphasizes how simple and beginner-friendly the code is. It's all about clear instructions, almost like you're just talking to a person.
So less about complicated code and more about, like, plain English.
Precisely. Like when he sets up the web scraping agent, the instructions are super straightforward. Something like, you are a web content retriever. Use the fetch tool to grab content from this website.
That's it. That's crazy. It doesn't even sound like coding.
Right. AutoGen makes it super intuitive. You can create these natural workflows between agents. You don't need to be a coding whiz to get great results.
Okay, I'm with you. So let's say I've got everything installed, MCP servers are ready, I've written my code. How do I actually run it?
Okay, well, that's where the round-robin group chat comes in. Remember we talked about that earlier? You basically define the order your AI agents will interact in, like a conversation. Each agent takes its turn, uses its skills, and contributes to the overall task.
Right. So in the web scraping example, the first agent grabs the content, then the second agent rewrites it, and then the third saves it. Right.
Got it. And AutoGen is behind the scenes, making sure everything runs smoothly. It's like having a team of AI specialists working together.
I gotta admit, this is pretty exciting stuff. It feels like we're on the verge of something huge, putting this power in everyone's hands. But before we get too carried away dreaming about what we can do, maybe we should talk about some of the challenges.
Hold on. I like where your head's at, but yeah, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Right, right. Realistically, what are some of the hurdles someone might face when they try to build their own AI agent? Is it really as easy as it sounds?
Okay, so while being accessible is a big plus, we have to remember that open source development, it often comes with its own quirks. It's not always a smooth ride, if you know what I mean.
What kind of quirks are we talking about here? Lay it on me.
Well, for starters, documentation and support might not be as polished as what you'd get with, like, commercial software.
Yeah.
You might have to do some digging, some experimenting, maybe even reach out to the community for help.
So a little DIY spirit is needed.
Yeah, exactly. It's not always just plug and play. You might have to tinker, troubleshoot, figure things out on the fly.
Makes sense. And what about bugs, like inconsistencies in the software? Is that something to be concerned about?
Yeah, that's another thing to consider. Open source software is always evolving, which is great for innovation, but it also means you might run into glitches or things that don't work perfectly together.
So some technical know-how is needed to, navigate those bumps in the road. But wouldn't you say the benefits outweigh the challenges? I mean, free is free, right?
Oh, for sure. Being able to use and customize these powerful AI tools without spending a dime, that's a game changer. It opens up so many possibilities for individuals, small businesses, researchers, anyone really.
I can already imagine people building all sorts of amazing things with these tools. Personalized AI assistants, automated content creation, on-demand data analysis. The list goes on and on.
And we're just scratching the surface. As these open source projects grow and improve, we're going to see even more sophisticated and specialized tools pop up. The possibilities are pretty much endless.
This is all pretty mind-blowing. It feels like we're right at the edge of a real revolution.
Definitely an exciting time to be involved in the AI world. But before we get carried away with all the amazing potential.
We should probably talk about the potential downsides, too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Any powerful technology comes with responsibilities, right?
Right, we can't just ignore the risks.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll explore those important considerations when we come back. Stick around.
All right, welcome back. Before the break, we were, getting pretty excited about all the cool stuff you can do with open source AI. But we also touched on the fact that with any powerful tech, it's not all sunshine and roses. There's always another side to consider.
Yeah, it's like, well, anything really.
Yeah.
Fire, nuclear energy, even social media. These are all incredibly powerful tools, and they can be used for good or bad.
Right. So let's talk about that bad side. What are some of the risks or concerns we should be aware of when it comes to AI, especially with these open source tools, becoming so accessible?
Well, one that always comes up is this idea of unintended consequences. When you're dealing with complex systems, especially ones that can learn and adapt on their own, it can be hard to know exactly how they'll behave in every situation.
So basically, we don't always know what our AI is going to do. That's a bit unsettling.
Yeah, it's a valid concern. And it means we need to be extra careful with design, testing, and just ongoing monitoring. We need to make sure we're building these AI systems with safeguards, especially when they're interacting with the real world.
Okay, that makes sense. Are there other red flags we should watch out for?
Another big one is misuse. If anyone can get their hands on these tools and change them, we have to think about how they might be used for, well, not so good things.
Like creating deep fakes, spreading fake news, even building autonomous weapons.
Yeah, those are all possibilities that we need to be aware of and address. It highlights the need for, well, ethical guidelines, responsible development practices, maybe even some regulations, to make sure these tools are used for good and not for harm.
Right. So it's not just about the possibilities, it's about using this technology wisely.
Exactly. But despite those risks, I still think the potential benefits are just too important to ignore.
I agree. This tech could really change so many things. Healthcare, education, scientific discovery, creative fields. It has the potential to revolutionize it all.
Yeah, it's up to us to figure out how to navigate the challenges, to use this power for good, to benefit humanity as a whole.
Absolutely. So for anyone listening who is inspired and wants to explore open source AI, where should they start?
Honestly, a good first step is checking out that YouTube video we've been talking about. The guy who made it does a fantastic job walking you through the whole process from start to finish. You can find the link in the show notes.
Perfect. And what about the tools themselves? Where can people find AutoGen, Cline, those MCP servers, all that good stuff?
It's all open source, so it's all online. AutoGen and Cline have their own websites, and they've got great documentation and tutorials. As for the MCP servers, there's this awesome marketplace right in Cline. You can browse and install all kinds of servers, each one designed for a specific task. And don't worry, we'll include all those links in the show notes too.
That's great. So even if you're brand new to this, you've got the resources to get started. It's pretty amazing that this technology is so accessible.
Yeah, that's the power of the open source community, right?
Mm.
Sharing knowledge, making it available to everyone.
Okay, before we wrap up, I've got one last question for you. Out of all the possible ways to use open source AI, what gets you most excited? What possibilities really capture your imagination?
Well, there are so many to choose from, it's tough to pick just one.
Yeah.
But if I had to pick, I think the potential of AI to speed up scientific discovery is what really does it for me. Imagine researchers using AI tools to analyze huge amounts of data, find patterns, even come up with new hypotheses. Think about the breakthroughs we could see in medicine, material science, climate change, all kinds of fields.
That's an incredible vision. It's like having a whole team of AI scientists working side by side with human researchers, pushing the boundaries of knowledge faster than we ever could before.
Exactly. And with these tools becoming so accessible, we could see a wave of new citizen scientists, people contributing to research from all over the world.
That's really inspiring. It really does feel like we're on the brink of something new and incredible.
Yeah, it's definitely an exciting time to be alive. Who knows what breakthroughs are waiting for us in the years to come.
Well said. And on that note, we'll leave our listeners with one final thought. If you had the power to build your own AI agent, what would you have it do? What problem would you solve? What dream would you chase? The possibilities, well, they're pretty much endless. So go out there, explore, experiment, and create. The future of AI is in your hands.
Who knows? Maybe your AI creation will be the one that changes the world.
That's it for our deep dive into the world of open source AI. We hope you found it as interesting and thought-provoking as we did. Until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.